Hello, I'm Josh Court and this is Matthew Coulson, and welcome to ThePremLife. So, we saw United lose to City 4-1 this weekend.
Yeah? No, I mean, United, according to their fans, are in crisis. So are quite a few top clubs, apparently. I mean, Chelsea, they're also in crisis. Arsenal were in crisis. Even Liverpool, after
Liverpool
this
going
weekend,
into crisis
are now
now.
in crisis.
So, I don't like this word crisis because it means, Arsenal lost the first game of the season, suddenly, dead, relegated, huge crisis, huge. Suddenly they win. Yeah, they win 3 games in the Premier League, suddenly some title contenders, all sorts. Chelsea lose 2 games in a row. Mourinho doesn't know what he's doing. How could he come back to Chelsea and play so badly and not get rid of them? United, Moyes, not as good as Fergie. Fergie would never let us lose 4-1. We're not going to win the league.
I think with United in particular, United have lost to City and Liverpool away. Those are tough games.
Yeah.
No matter what you say. If they were spread over the season, not so close together, no one would have really noticed it. Just go, these things happen. In a draw to Chelsea, won their other 2 games.
Sure.
I mean, they're not in crisis. They've done just fine this season so far.
Exactly. And I also think, especially for a United team, they have 3 games coming up, which will be easier games for them. And I think they'll get maximum points, and then you'll see United be United, where they start getting all those wins that you're accustomed to seeing United.
It's going to be interesting to see the squad reaction though, if they're a bit nervous, tentative after a couple of bad results.
Yeah.
So that for me is going to be more defining for United than the last couple of games.
I think actually Rooney's going to have a very good season for United. I guess that's just maybe being hopeful. Not a particular Rooney fan, but I just think he is going to have he looks like he's going to have a good season.
Back with his old mate Moyes.
Yes, him and Moyes are big mates.
Yeah, I think a real crisis is someone like Sunderland at the moment. I mean, Sunderland looked... I mean, all of the critics so far have really said, Di Canio not cut out for it. And you can see why. I mean, there's no doubt that you just look at the match this weekend and Liverpool again, and he deserved to go. Sure. I think managers are fired a lot too hastily these days, but for me, I was always sceptical of Di Canio. He's always been a bit of a joke to me.
I do think it's important now that whoever Sunderland gets in, they try and get someone. I mean, not that they're going to get someone off the street, but they get someone respectable in, and they give that manager time for the rest of the season to try and use it, because they can't bring in someone and then give them 2 months and say, you're in the relegation zone. Not that you haven't won a game, that's acceptable. But if he's still in the relegation zone, because Sunderland are a relegation team, if you look at the squad there.
No doubt.
So
for me, that was the biggest problem. And Martin O'Neill, let's not beat around the bush here. Martin O'Neill is a good manager. He's a good tactician, and they just didn't have the squad, and that's what he found. And they best players like that bent around he was a 20 goal a season striker, suddenly he wasn't anymore, and they had almost nothing. So then they brought in a reaction manager, trying to get something out of the players, bring in this big personality, and they survived, more down to Wigan being atrocious in their run-in, but for a relegation team fighting sort of standard. And now they need someone who's in between. You can get something out of the players, and I think they probably an even worse situation now, having lost a couple of good ones like Mignolet, Sessegnon, who we're going to get on to, and bringing in players like Altidore, who just looks like...
It's funny, Altidore used to play, I'm pretty sure he used to play for Hull City, not obviously this season, but previously when Hull City were in the Premier League and they got relegated, Altidore, even back then, he used to play for Hull.
But I mean, he's just a big player, big target man, throw the ball up to him. But he's really not a special player, and you're going to need something more out of your strikers, for me, anyway.
So you mentioned Sessegnon.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about Sessegnon. He's gone to West Brom now. New start for him. Different style, different manager. Quite an experienced manager. So,
Steve Clarke?
Yeah.
Well, he's experienced in the game,
Yeah.
not so much as a manager. But he's spent lots of time at Liverpool. He knows what he's doing. So West Brom, he was almost their biggest signing. I mean, I'd say they didn't have much money around.
They brought in Anelka as well, but that wasn't exactly...
Not for long. No, Sessegnon for me, a lot of people will class him as sort of a Adam Johnson or a Sean Wright-Phillips who just occasionally pitches up. You know what I mean? Because that's what it seems like. But for me, it's not really like that with Sessegnon. For me, it's a lot more about the people he has in front of him. Because he's going to play just off the striker, so second striker. If there's space, he has a really good striker in front of him, and there's movement and that sort of thing, and they're pressing the team deep, then Sessegnon really comes into his own. You see his goal from the weekend. There's space, and he got into it, and he finished it. Also, some not great defending at Sunderland, let's be honest. But, I mean, Sessegnon, he's one of those players that if you give him something in front, and I think he'll do a lot better at West Brom than at Sunderland, because at Sunderland they had sort of one striker lingering in front of him, coming back. Not really a system for him, but at West Brom they try and play with two up front often, try and push them deep. So
I don't know where Shane Long is at the moment, but usually they would have a player like Shane Long who's chasing, so and Sessegnon can sit in the middle and pick up those little spaces that are left, in behind.
And they're trying to push the defender deeper and deeper instead of one man coming back to receive.
Anyway, if you would like to comment on anything we said today, use the hashtag ThePremLife on Twitter, or send us an email at ThePremLife@gmail.com. Thanks.